Hi there, Danna Alexander here from Prestige Dog Grooming School and the Everyday Pet Groomer. Today I'm going to show you guys a couple quick tips on my poodle top knots. We've got everybody in class here and they've been learning poodle clean feet today. So I'll show you a little bit of their work. Sorry, I got hair everywhere, guys. Poodle clean feet. So we had a bunch of girls do different feet on this guy today. They did a gorgeous job. And now we are going to put his top knot in. So this is Urban. He's a lovely standard poodle. I'm going to hand over my camera to Sue to wield for me. Okay, so an essential bit of any poodle top knot is a poodle comb. You need a deep, wide comb. And now the most important thing is to set up your top knot correctly first by clipping correctly. So we have clipped from eye corner to eye corner, and from the eye corner to the top of the ear. Those are your lines that you want to follow to start off with to set up any poodle top knot. So my first step that I like to do is flip the ear over, and I like to set my sides in. Pull them down, and I like to come in with my straight shears. I'm using the Sassy Dog line from LA Sharpening in Leduc, Alberta, Canada. And now the angle of your shear is essential. This is straight up and down. You need to actually angle it out a bit. So angling it out, and I'm coming right close to the skin, all the way, make sure you don't cut the ear. I'm angling slightly up when I come to the ear. That way that clears that out and gets it away from the ear. Always repeat more than once. So now I'm coming in. You can see under here we'll have a little bit that needs to be cleaned up, but notice the angle of my shear is almost directly parallel. It's not up and down, parallel. Now my third cut is going to come in. I'm going to bring that shear a little bit up and take my next cut. Following the same cut I already did, but see how nice and clean that is and starting to come out. Once I've done one side, I'm going to repeat on the other side. So combing down, again I'm going to come in with my shears slightly angled, almost parallel from that eye corner, right to the ear, and then angling slightly up at the ear. Just that helps clear that away, so as you're scissoring, it's not in the way. Comb out, repeat. Your second, if your hair is properly prepped and combed out, you should have very little to touch up in here. So then my third cut comes in, and I angle that shear up. That starts to round that out. So if you want to take a look at it from this view, see how that starts to set up our top knot out. You can, if you want to do a very slab-sided top knot, you could come in and do it even tighter, but I'm going to do a little bit more round on him. My next step is going to be to follow through this line above the ear. Now some groomers on pets like to connect the ear and the top knot into one cohesive top knot, but the correct way is to separate the ear and the top knot as two separate things. So I like to then come in, and right where that is, just cut a line in. And again, your second cut is going to be slightly more angled up, but following the same. And all I'm doing is following through that same line. You guys see that? So same on this side. Remember that every single step helps you to the next step if you do everything correctly. So coming in, follow my line, cut in. My next angle is going to be slightly angled up, so that I'm following through the same line that I started there. So then we have our top knot set in. I know what I want to do, so I know where this is going. I'm going to comb out my ear areas, and we've had the ears separated. So this dog's been groomed by someone else in the past, so we're going to start growing out his ears. So we'll leave that for today, but that's why it's a little bit going to be unruly at first. So once I've set in my sides, my next step is to comb the front forward. Now I like to think of the top of the head like a gigantic foot, that you're making a nice round foot. Always think everything's the same thing in grooming, it's just a different size. So when I'm coming in on this foot, I want to nicely round it up and make it round. So I'm going to come in almost, again, that angle of the shears needs to be really tight under. And I'm setting my shears where I've already cut. I'm starting to come around, and I'm going to match it to where I've cut on the side. So see how my tips of my shears are not going deeper in the coat than what I already trimmed. So my first cut, come in, comb out. Half of the work with scissoring is always combing. You need to comb, 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 comb. My second round, I'm gonna angle my shears from underneath. It's okay, Irby, come down. From underneath, I'm gonna start to tip my shears up a bit. So I'm coming in for a second layer. I'm just gonna readjust you guys. There we go. With the shears slightly more angled up. And again, I'm just following through to the same line on each side. Now I'm going to comb out again. And the reason why you'd want to scissor out is if you go too flat up and down, you're going to end up sloping the head back. And I know a lot of you guys have faced that in grooming, where you end up with this beautiful top knot that looks good this way, and then he tips his head up and it's sloped back. And we don't want that. We want a visor, but not quite a visor. So again, this is our fourth time around. I'm going to line it up, and now my shears are almost straight up and down. And I'm just going to come in and dust that all in. Lining up again with where I've already scissored. It should scream out to you what needs to be scissored. Now I'm going to fluff this up so we can see the shape that's coming. So now you can see by his eyes, we need to do a little bit of cleaning up. So I like to clean up the eyes now. So I'm going to come and make it quite tight all around the eyes. Just trim that little bit of layer directly in front of the eyes. And this dog does have a bit of entropion issues. So I do like to trim his eyes. I come back in later and I do shave quite short around his eyes, because that's why his eyes are so squinty. He does have some entropion, which is where the eyelashes grow into his eyes and kind of itch them. So we like to come in and clean that up for him. So I like it to be nice and clean there. Now we try to take a look at what we've got. So for the size of our top knot that I'm making, his hair is not quite long enough to get quite the right shape, but we're still gonna set it all in today. So I'm gonna come in and start to just take that edge up. Okay. I'm just going to take it down the back here. I'm going to start taking in this edge as well. I'm using my curved shears for all of this, guys, so far. And I've used my straight shears on the side. So just dusting it in, because you can see from a side view, we actually need a bit more hair. We need about 2 inches more on the top for this size of top knot. We could make him have a very short top knot, but we are growing him out for our student grooms. We'll be right there. We just got customers picking up. So fluff that up. And then this way, once you've done the sides and the front, when you turn to a profile view, it's going to scream out to you what needs to be scissored. So even if he was longer, it's going to be very obvious. It just almost peaks like a little bit of a sort of a mohawk, and then it's very obvious what you need to come and trim from a side view. So every single step that you do in grooming should lead you to the next step, should make it more obvious what needs to be trimmed. And that's how you do a very lovely setting in of a top knot. So I've got hair all over this guy. And I'm Danna Alexander, and we'll talk to you guys next time.